It's Wednesday, March 17th, and this is Now on H&N.
I would get here early, make sure you get your name on the list.
Oahu bars gear up for St. Patrick's Day with COVID restrictions and safety protocols.
Complete opposite of being transparent.
New information about those NOAA tsunami sensors that went down and the alleged attempt to silence staffers about the outage.
Investigators are not calling the spa shooting spree in Atlanta a hate crime. I'm Zach Summers with the motive that left 8 people dead.
Plus the push to rename McKinley High School. These stories and more coming up on This Is Now.
Good afternoon, thanks for watching This Is Now on this Wednesday. Jonathan and Ashley here coming to you from the H&N Digital Studio. Want to get right to those latest numbers being reported by the State Department of Health.
Health officials are reporting 69 new infections today and no new fatalities. We'll have the breakdown by island for you on your H&N digital platforms. Meanwhile, our March visitor arrival numbers have gone up a lot over the last several days. You can see the influx around the islands. Jonathan spoke with Howard Dykes about the return of tourism.
Until Thursday of last week, we were getting maybe 8,000 or 9,000 people a day. It started rising last week. On Thursday, we got 16,000. On Friday, 17,000. On Saturday, 19,000, and so on. And as a result, on the Ides of March, we actually went over 200,000 arrivals by air since the month of March began. And although that's only half of normal, it's way more than we were getting in January or February.
Hey Howard, so are people surprised, officials surprised by this number, tourism officials, or were they sort of expecting it with the spring break bump?
They were hoping for it. I was a little skeptical because I knew a lot of it was hope as opposed to a necessarily valid expectation. But hoteliers at least know what bookings to expect, and they've been telling us for some weeks that the first tourism to come back, not just here but anywhere, would be leisure travel. So this does seem to be bearing that out.
And one last question with those hotels and the rates. What are they looking like? Are people getting bargains?
Yes, they are. Although I have to say, not as much in the way of bargains as perhaps I would expect. It suggests to me that the hoteliers believe that the ones who are coming and the ones who aren't coming are not coming, almost irrespective of what the cost is. But they are, it seems to me, trying to make up for the added cost of getting the pre-COVID tests.
Howard Dykes, always a pleasure to chat with you. Thank you so much.
Now, this is a story a lot of people are talking about online. Hawaii police chiefs putting out videos to tamp down controversies. Is it a way to dodge hard questions from the media? Our chief investigative reporter, Lynn Kawano, has a closer look.
One-sided video statements, or vlogs as they're called, are being released to avoid interviews. And it's not just because of COVID.
Just wanted to do a clarification on this whole matrix thing.
I recognize that regardless of my intent, my words have caused people pain.
I know that many of you have come to question your trust in your police department.
Communicating with the public is becoming a one-sided, scripted event for 3 of Hawaii's police chiefs who refuse multiple media requests for interviews on the challenges facing their departments.
Good police departments have to be available to the media and have to be willing to hear the hard questions and answer the hard questions.
Chief Tivoli Fa'amu started using video statements in 2019. This one after our report on allegations of harassment by one of his patrol officers. Kauai's police chief, Todd Raybuck, posted a video after news reports that he allegedly made racist and inappropriate comments.
We need to know more about, is that an isolated incident or is that part of a pattern? Accountability is important.
UH criminology professor Mita Chesney-Lynn says police chiefs need to understand transparency is the only way to foster public trust. But as we continue to ask for interviews either in person or via Zoom, police chiefs are more and more not available and directing us to their vlog for a response instead. especially Honolulu's police chief. Ballard has been posting vlog after vlog lately, explaining her side, sometimes blaming others for quotas, overtime violations, and questionable CARES Act spending.
Let me assure you that there was no misuse or mismanagement of COVID funds.
Lynn's joining us now to talk more about her story. Now, Lynn, talk about why it's so important that media has access to these public officials and is able to ask questions.
You know, sometimes we just need a little bit more clarification, and the public wants to know a little bit more. In the Kauai police chief's case, he issued this apology, but there's no context of what the accusations really are or what the investigation is about. And for the public's trust, you need to know what he's apologizing for. And for us to be able to ask some of these questions is really important. And it definitely shows that the police departments have been unavailable lately.
How long has it been since you had either a one-on-one or a press conference with Chief Ballard?
It's been before COVID.
Wow.
I cannot even remember when I've had a one-on-one with her. Now, she has done press conferences where it's a mayor's press conference and she's kind of been asked to go there to help clarify some information for the mayor, and she did take some questions out there. But as far as one-on-one where we could just ask anything we needed to about certain topics, we have not had that in more than a year. And lately it's been months since we've been able to ask anything regarding CARES Act. You know, the funding is definitely under fire here with the Honolulu Police Department. So the media should be allowed to ask some of these questions, and we just haven't been able to do that lately.
Since your story aired last night, any response from any of the departments?
Not the departments, actually radio silence from them, but a lot of officers have reached out recently citing morale, saying morale is at just a low. You know, they are constantly moving from one 911 call to the next, and there's talk about these quotas. They have to go out and stop so many people for DUIs and stop so many people on the street and get their information, and they just don't have time for that. You know, they are constantly going from call to call. They're understaffed. Everybody knows HPD is understaffed. And so these are some of the important questions that we've been trying to get answers to.
So, I mean, from now on into the future, how do you plan to get your questions answered with the police departments?
Well, I hope the police commissions will hold these chiefs accountable and will tell them you need to try and at least have an open line of communication with the media. It's important. All we're getting right now from them is we have to record these police commission meetings, or we have to record these council meetings so we can hear from the chiefs themselves. And it's been very difficult. So I'm hoping that the police commissions will do something, will use some of their authority to help us out and get some information out there to the public.
All right, we'll see. Thank you, Lynn, for your great reporting. Jonathan, back to you.
We have an update to pass along regarding those NOAA tsunami sensors that went down and the alleged attempt to prevent the information about the outage from being discussed publicly by staff. As we told you exclusively yesterday, an important tsunami detection system, DART, experienced an outage this month from the 9th until the 15th. This was caused when a broken water pipe at NOAA's Maryland headquarters knocked out the program's servers. That's according to federal officials. We're told forecasters were not completely left in the dark with DART buoys knocked out. Scientists could still use data on earthquakes to issue early tsunami warnings and monitor tools such as coastal gauges. But leading tsunami experts report in the LA Times that without rapid data from the network used to confirm the existence of a tsunami, government scientists would likely have struggled to pinpoint which parts of the world were in danger if a tsunami event had happened. And now there's allegations that NOAA officials were trying to hush staff about talking about it.
The complete opposite of being transparent and prudent.
Jeff Ruck is with the watchdog group Public Employees for Environmental Responsibility. Alleged communication obtained by Ruck's group, said to be from NOAA officials to the Pacific Tsunami Warning Staff, said this on March 11th, the anniversary of the deadly tsunami in Japan. Staff should avoid discussing the ongoing outages on social media.
See, possibly if that was true for one day, but this outage started a week ago yesterday. And so this blanket gag on social media extended for days, not just one day or 1 hour. And the notion that you would want to censor social media so that you only reflected on what the agency wanted you to talk about, not an ongoing situation that affects readiness, seems to me that NOAA at the upper levels has a deep problem, which we hope is remedied.
The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center told me to contact NOAA for comment regarding the incident. An official responded to the allegations today saying, "The conversation between a NOAA official and the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center was misinterpreted. Regrettably, Pier did not ask to confirm the accuracy before publishing. March 11th was an important day to observe the 10-year anniversary of the tsunami." Mike Ongo, who serves as the NWS Tsunami Program Manager, reached out to both tsunami warning centers with the request to keep their social media/public focus on the solemn observation of the anniversary on that day, end quote. So here's what Ruck had to say about that.
How do you spell gag? That's the only way you spell gag. They said, don't talk about anything. And the idea that the only thing you could talk about was the anniversary of this terrible event and avoid mentioning an ongoing situation that could contribute to perhaps a recurrence of a similar event is beyond clueless. It's irresponsible.
It's important to emphasize, since Monday, researchers have had a workaround to get the data from DART, and NOAA says they have been transparent about the outage with a message posted at the top of the National Data Buoy Center website.
An inspection has revealed cracks in the crucial pieces of the Honolulu rail line. The cracks and other flaws are in steel crossovers called frogs that allow trains to switch tracks. According to the Rail Authority's internal documents, the manufacturer is responsible, but critics say the defects could cause delays.
Before we have an operating system, we have cracks and failures. That is really extremely disappointing. I don't know how else to describe it. We've been hacked.
A rail spokesman declined to say how much this could delay the project and said it would be discussed at the rail board meeting on Thursday.
A 21-year-old man is accused in the shooting deaths of 8 people at 3 Georgia spas. Nearly all the victims were Asian, but police say race may not have been his motive. Zach Summers reports from Atlanta.
The suspect who shot and killed 8 people at 3 Atlanta area spas has told investigators he wasn't motivated by race.
He made indicators that he has some issues, potentially sexual addiction, and may have frequented some of these places in the past.
21-year-old Robert Aaron Long was taken into custody after a manhunt. Police used surveillance footage to identify him and were able to track his phone.
He does claim that it was not racially motivated and sees these locations as something that allows him to go to these places, and it's a temptation for him that he wanted to eliminate.
7 of the victims are women, 6 are Asian.
Crime against any community is a crime against us all.
A day later, detectives are still at 2 of the crime scenes in Atlanta, gathering evidence and talking to witnesses. A woman who works nearby says she knew some of the victims.
I won't say any names, but they're really nice girls. They just do great massages. They do great massages over here, so it's just unfortunate.
These killings come during a wave of nationwide attacks targeting Asian Americans.
We're not yet clear about the motive, but I do want to say to our Asian American community that we stand with you.
As a precaution, some police departments around the country have increased patrols in predominantly Asian communities. Zach Summers, CBS News, Atlanta.
Today is the last day to submit testimony on a measure to rename McKinley High School. House Resolution 148 urges the Board of Education and the head of Hawaii's public schools to name the campus Honolulu High School. That was its name back in 1895, but it changed to President William McKinley High in 1907. Similar efforts to rename the school in the past have failed. Supporters of the resolution say McKinley helped annex Hawaii shortly after the overthrow of the Hawaiian Kingdom, leaving a painful memory for Native Hawaiians. The House Committee on Education is set to hear the measure at 2 p.m. tomorrow.
All right. That means it's time for our morning beat. We got Chad Blair here from the Honolulu Civil Beat to talk about their big story today. And Chad, just when you think it can't get worse, it does. And we're talking about unemployment benefits. Tell us about this woman that the Civil Beat is tracking and what her small mistake cost her.
Thanks, Grace. Yeah, Marcel Honore's story opens with this former restaurant worker. She lost her job not long after COVID came to town, started working her way through the state unemployment insurance system, and then the agency flagged her for a $300 emergency payment that came from her former employer. That $300 was considered an overpayment by the agency. It has to do with a federal law. But because of that, this very same worker has not received any unemployment payments since October. That works out to about $10,000, all because of this snafu. That's the word Marcel uses for it. And it's not isolated just to this restaurant worker. There appear to be many others as well going through the same problem.
You know, in hearing these stories again and again, I think the frustration lies in the fact that some of them can never get this resolved. Did this woman ever get her issue resolved with a DLIR?
She's still working through that problem. She and her husband fortunately have some savings to live on. They did receive some unemployment money, but I can tell you the Labor Department is very well aware of this. They're very frustrated. They're not even sure exactly what the count is, but their programmers are busy on their computers trying to help all those other people with claims. As we've been reporting widely, DLIR has a very antiquated mainframe system. One other thing, the other catch is, because of this overpayment at the local issue, well, if you want to get federal unemployment benefits, you're going to have the same problem. So this problem is exacerbated.
And my understanding from this article is that employers can inadvertently trigger this as well, right? Or does it
That's right. And in fact, exactly. Examiners, by the way, have to look to make sure there was no fraud involved. They got to talk with the employers. They got to talk with the employees, make sure that there's due process. So this is something where it's unfortunate, yet another frustrating development, which has already been a system that's been plagued for, well over a year now because of COVID.
I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about the Department of Health and the lawsuit that Civil Beat has filed. Now, this isn't based on a story that you're doing right now, but tell me about the history of this and why you filed a lawsuit.
Well, Chris, remember last year, not long after COVID happened, everybody was talking about contact tracing. How many people has the Department of Health hired to find out who has been spreading COVID? What are their qualifications? There was tremendous public interest in this story. We covered it, you covered it. So we asked the Department of Health, tell us who these people are. They are state employees. It is a matter of public law, state law, that we should know who they are. Well, the health department gave us some of that information, contact tracers on Kauai and Maui, but no more. They refused to give us information about Oahu and the Big Island. And so we had no other option other than to file suit. We did file a Freedom of Information request, which led to this. But again, our position is this is a matter of state law and public interest, and these are state employees.
Now, Chad, I don't know if you're prepared to talk about this, but this is not the first time you filed a lawsuit against the state in just trying to get information in the past year, right? I mean, there's been multiple ones.
Yeah. Thank you, Grace, for bringing that up. I can't possibly go into all the legal action that Civil Beat has been involved with, and with the help of the Civil Beat Law Center, which is actually a separate entity. But I can tell you this, that we feel it's very important to have transparency and accountability. This is our mission, particularly during a time of a public health crisis and economic crisis. People need to have more information about how their government has been responding, or frankly not responding, to the crisis.
Yeah. All right. Chad Blair, thanks again for clearing all that up for us. And if you want to read the full Civil Beat article, you can go to civilbeat.org or you can text 66866 for the newsletter. Thanks, Chad.
Oahu bars were only allowed to reopen last week, and today they're gearing up for St. Patrick's Day with restrictions and safety protocols. Casey Lund is in Chinatown with more.
A good afternoon from Proof Social Club, one of my favorite spots here in the downtown Chinatown area. And before we get started, we're going to show you what they're doing to keep everyone safe as they prepare for a busy but much different St. Patrick's Day. But again, there's really nothing they can do about what you do when you leave the establishment. So a reminder, make a plan. If you plan to celebrate with alcohol today, have a designated driver or plan to get in Uber, Lyft, or taxi. Those rideshare services are going to be very busy today and, of course, a little bit more expensive, so plan ahead. Let's take you in here. Proof Social Club just opened. Like many bars, they just reopened. They did a lot of work to improve things here and keep everybody safe, changing the layout of the tables, putting up plexiglass divisor, hand sanitizer at all the tables, and, of course, stepping up their cleaning. We always want to check in with the owners here, Jasmine Mankos of Proof Social Club. I just want to talk to you a little bit about how you guys are preparing for the holiday today. What do you want customers to know when they come in?
Well, we're still operating at half capacity, so if you're planning on coming in, I would get here early, make sure you get your name on the list. We have temperature checks at the door to keep everyone safe. We have extra security, make sure everybody keeps social distance, keeps their mask on when they're not seated with the party that they came in with.
I know that a lot of businesses, some of the Irish bars downtown too, are on reservation system. How are you kind of handling? It's a list. First come, first serve.
First come, first serve, correct. And we have additional security tonight to make sure that we stay at that capacity.
I mean, this has all been an added expense, but I know that you guys are grateful just to be back up and running. Is this sort of light at the end of the tunnel for you?
Exactly. That's exactly what it feels like. Yeah, it's been almost a year since the initial shutdown, and I know it's been hard for all the bars and restaurants, small businesses, so we're just really looking forward to what's to come and having a good St. Patrick's Day tonight.
Very good. Jasmine Manco is the owner of Proof Social Club. Come support them if you can, and support the other bars that are just starting to get back on their feet after being shut down for so long. Remember to have a little extra patience because everywhere is going to be busy. You might have to take a little time, and one last reminder, make a plan, have a designated driver, or get an Uber, Lyft, or taxi. Take public transportation. Keep everyone, including yourself, safe this St. Patrick's Day. Now back to you.
Good reminder there, Casey. I want to take you guys outside on this St. Patrick's Day. Notice how I flipped away from us real fast because I didn't wear any green.
Ha la la.
Let's see if Guy Hockey is. Let's check in with him.
How's it on this Wednesday? We're going to see a few more showers, and the showers are actually drifting out towards Maui and the Big Island. They'll see the most rain today from that weak front. We are expecting fewer showers, drier conditions for Kauai and Oahu. However, there will still be some passing showers from time to time, even though a drier trend is moving in for Kauai and Oahu. And it's going to be windier today across the state. The winds will be running about 15 to 25 miles an hour. Of course, they'll be lighter in the Kona side, and they'll get stronger over the next several days. So we're looking at a pretty nice day for Kauai and Oahu. After the morning showers pass, we are expecting a fair bit of sunshine, but it will be soggier with more drops of rain, fewer spots of sunshine for Maui and the Big Island because they're dealing with that weak cold front. Now, as far as the surf, it's not a great day for surf. It's still beat up. We still got some brown water up in the country. The biggest waves are where it's choppiest. East Shore is under a high surf advisory. It's going to be getting even bigger because those trade winds will get even stronger, and that will reinforce the trade wind swells. And again, we'll see those windward and Mauka showers come through from time to time over the next several days. So keep an umbrella handy for the semi-soggy conditions. And also, we'll get another shot of rain coming in on Thursday. Also of note, be careful this weekend. We're going to get especially windy conditions starting on Friday all the way through Sunday. They could even lead to spotty power outages. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
Hey, cyberspace, what you talking about today? A lot of good news, I take it.
That's right. So the happiest place on earth is getting ready to reopen. Disney announced its plans to open its California resort next month with 15% capacity to start. Now, masks and other health precautions will be required. The Disney resort houses Disneyland and its sister theme park, California Adventure, and Disneyland has been closed more than a year since the start of the pandemic, so the park is slated to reopen on April 30th.
Never been. Only been to
What?
Disney World. I know. I'll have to make it. Field trip.
Jonathan.
I know. I've been here, though. Chicago's Green River. It's not always that green, but they're doing this tradition. We've seen so many traditions fade this year for St. Patrick's Day, but this one's kept alive. They actually dumped the dye into the river early this year because they didn't want to have people gathering, so surprise folks, and then there it is. Yep. Luckily, I have some 3 o'clock reservations at Murphy's for my corned beef and cabbage, so I will hope to see some of you there. You guys have a great St. Paddy's Day.
Aloha.